Have you been to a stately home lately? Despite the unique history of each building, it often seems like there's a rhythm to these visits. Walk through the hallways to see portraits of a lionized landed family with their porcelain skins and a compulsory display of European art collected by a son on the grand tour. Admire the architecture. Allow yourself to be amused by the story of a rogue uncle or scorned lover, and end your trip with tea and a scone. If you're interested in interior design, there's inspiration enough in the coving and the sconces. The gardens often prove delightful, and lovers of art will find enough to impress them. But beyond the twee trappings, Britain's heritage sites are home to a hidden history. Every so often, strolling through marbled halls on my own such trips, I'd encounter a familiar swirl of Arabic, Persian or Urdu letters, or the brown hue of a sitter's skin in a portrait. In these moments, I would excitedly attempt to seek out more information from an explanatory sign or from the person manning the room or giving tours around the site. Yet what I sought was not always easily found. This didn't seem malicious or deliberate. Often the answer was simply that the staff or volunteers didn't know much about these objects, and even a frenzied flick through their guidebooks proved unsatisfactory. Each time this happened, I'd come home my mind abuzz with questions. Why was that there? How did it come about? What's the story behind this object? Who is that person? Why have I never heard about it? Then I would trawl through books, fire off emails and wade through manuscripts to find the answers. And upon finally obtaining more information, I'd share these discoveries and delight with friends. Did you know there was once a mosque built inside Kew Gardens? An actual mosque? Yes, in the Georgian period. Why have I never heard about that? That's when I knew it wasn't just me. After the first few occasions, it became a ritual. I'd walk into a gallery or museum, eyes already narrowed, seeking out that unusual object, searching for the unanswered question. It turned into a treasure hunt. I was pursuing these objects in places out of curiosity, but without knowing it, also perhaps using them to find a sense of belonging in my own country. In some strange way, because of my connections through language, culture, or religion to these objects, it was like a part of me could be found here. The heritage in these places now felt more mine, ours. I felt a compulsion to share the excitement and the evidence with others, because this was not just a personal adventure. It is proof of a more complex story, one that has implications for who we believe has the right to comment on Britain's history and identity. Britain seems to suffer from historical amnesia. The popular national imagination often pictures no person of colour to have set foot on these isles before the arrival of Caribbean migrants on board the Empire Windrush in 1948, with South Asians following them in the 1950s and 60s. In this telling of British history, people of colour are cast only as recent immigrants, grateful guests required to integrate into the preordained British way of life. This version of history would have us believe 2 world wars were fought only by young white men from Europe. It produces narrow period dramas in television and film, wrongly supposing that there are no interactions with the rest of the world to depict, no significant stories of people of colour in Britain to reflect, and no debts owed, cultural or otherwise. Yet hidden away in heritage sites, in stately homes, museums and galleries, the temples of Britishness, I was finding clues to suggest otherwise. Objects and places that were revealing rarely told histories and simultaneously had something to say about our current divisions. At a time when Britain is reshaping its role in the world and debates abound over the legacy of empire, the role of immigration and what Britain or Britishness is. But despite the abundance of polemic, a thoughtful interrogation of Britishness through the lens of cultural heritage is rare. In conversations around immigration, race, and Islam in particular, dehumanising language has become the norm. As a journalist, I often witness firsthand a news narrative dictated by underlying assumptions that are racist and Islamophobic, perpetuated even by those who regard themselves as gatekeepers of civility.